You're muted. Still muted. There we go.
All right. We
There you
couldn't unmute ourselves. We were confused.
Good evening. Thanks for having us.
Yes.
I'm Johnny Caldwell.
And I'm Tanika Reeves.
And we are the Cocktail Bandits.
Your curly ladies who talk cocktails daily.
Yes, and we're located in beautiful and historic Charleston, South Carolina. And we feel so honored to be a part of this program this evening because our story started at CFC.
Absolutely. So we met at the College of Charleston back in 2004. Mm-hmm. So we're pretty seasoned when you're talking about age. And so we met the very first day of school, probably sometime in August. Mm-hmm. And it was a really great experience. We pretty much traveled all around Charleston's scene because we were underage, of course. Right. So we went to a lot of different restaurants and just different little events. And we just really saw the booming hospitality culture that happens in downtown Charleston.
Right, and I'm from Charleston originally. I grew up in Mount Pleasant, but Tanika's from the Florence area. So when she came here from Florence, she just was like so in love with Charleston. And as a native, I was kind of over Charleston. I was over the beaches, I was over the scene, over the history, all over the carriage tours. But she was like, this place is awesome. Like there's so much going on. And I really got an appreciation for the history that we have, the amazing food here in Charleston. And we wanted to kind of like find our place in Charleston.
Absolutely. So, after we finished College of Charleston, Johnny went off to law school and I kind of got involved into the food and bev world, learning how to first serve and become a waitress and bartender, but then actually learning how to curate cocktails and make them enjoyable for my guests. Mm-hmm. So Johnny would come into all of my bars and restaurants that I would work in and learn at, and she would give me critiques on what tastes good, what was disgusting, what I needed to work on, things like that. And we really were able to build up an affinity and a love for beverages and tasting them in that space and time.
That's so true. And her cocktails were amazing. They were always really good. And I got an appreciation for the craft that went into them. Like we give the chefs so much credit on making these dishes, but bartenders put just as much energy into making cocktails as well. So that kind of like opened my eyes. I became more engaged in the process. And then as we started to go around and network and try to like find work for ourselves, post me getting out of law school and post Tanika moving back downtown, we had a lot of challenges with that.
Yes. Well, we like to say that there are opportunities.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to look at them as obstacles, but we realized that there wasn't a lot of diversity in the hospitality space at all in Charleston, not just beverages and food, but also hotels, right. Also just the tourism department, the tourism world. Mm-hmm. We didn't see a lot of diversity. And so instead of looking at that as an obstacle, we looked at it as an opportunity to add our voice and our perspective and, start to embark on our entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, we really didn't have a choice. We couldn't get a job. So we had to take to social media, and thank God Instagram is free because we were able to share a journey on that platform, post all of our cocktails, post when we would go out to bars and have these amazing beverage experiences at local establishments. And we got a following, like we got about 15,000 followers in our first 2 years on social media.
Yeah.
And this is back in 2013 when influencer wasn't a word.
No.
Social media wasn't really a thing. It was like either you're on Facebook or you're on Twitter, but it wasn't like social media as a whole.
Yeah.
So we had to educate brands before they would even hire us. We had to tell them what Instagram was and then how we could help them on that platform. So it was a challenge.
And not only national brands, we really, really worked to try to gauge the local market. And back then, 7 years ago, which seems short for some, long for others, yeah. But 7 years ago, just like letting people know about Instagram and how we could be of assistance to you was like foreign. Yeah. So the brands here, they were more old school marketers. Mm-hmm. So if you learned about the old school way of marketing, that's what you were taught.
Yeah.
So Instagram and social media was completely opposite. So going against these mature, seasoned marketing and PR firms, it was a challenge, but we were up for the challenge. And we were so excited when people really started to realize that, hey, there could be a business in beverages.
Yeah, and there's so much to show. I mean, we also wanted to show that there is culture in cocktails as well, especially based here in Charleston. I'm of Gullah Geechee descent. I'm so proud of that. And we try to infuse that culture in everything that we produce. I mean, we want people of color to know that they were a part of this industry from the very beginning. So you can feel like you can also participate in the culture and you can have a career within hospitality. So we try to encourage diversity, encourage people of all backgrounds, that there is a place for them within the food and beverage industry.
And going back to that, at the College of Charleston, if we knew that there was a hospitality major when we were in school, I mean, that's what we would have been doing instead of politics.
Right.
That's what we would have been doing, guys. So big ups to everybody at the College of Charleston now who have the opportunity to major in hospitality and tourism. It's a wonderful space to work in. We love serving people. We love the tourism world, traveling and showing people how to enjoy their leisure time. So it's been a blessing. So we really hope that the people at College Charleston, the students, are taking advantage of that major.
And CFC really, really supported and molded us for this industry. I mean, we got so much training in how to move politically through spaces from CFC, being in an environment where when we were at CFC, it was a 7% minority rate there. Yeah. So, that really reflects our industry. It's a very small portion of people who are people of color in food and bev. So we were prepared on how to move, how to ask questions, how to engage certain brands. So CFC definitely prepared us to be able to be entrepreneurs. And they've also supported us in that we've been back to CFC to talk to classes. We've gotten several interns from CFC, one of which who is now a part-time employee for us. So we definitely encourage you all to take advantage of all the resources available at College of Charleston.
Yes, we're so excited to be a part of the CFC family. Yeah. And with our education and our expertise at CFC, not only have we been able to travel around the state, but we've been able to travel around the nation and the globe and actually learn about different beverages. So not only alcoholic beverages, but beverages that are just made from the culture, the history, the stories, things that people grew up drinking. So we're able to actually share these experiences with people all over and then come home and share it with our people here.
Yeah, we say there's a cocktail for every occasion, whether it's a barbecue or a baby shower, there's a beverage that can just add a little extra special touch to the occasion. And it doesn't have to always include alcohol. I mean, we all drink every day: water, coffee, tea, milk, kombucha, Gatorade, all that is a beverage. Yes. So we want to do a little quick icebreaker here with the group, if you don't mind. We want to ask any of the people if you're so inclined, what would you be if you were a beverage? So yes. If you're feeling kind of sweet and tannic, maybe you're a little sweet tea today.
Yeah. Or if you're feeling a little bubbly and exciting, you might be a mimosa.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyone want to share that or why they got
Yes, Ebony.
Okay, a margarita. Yes, nice, sweet and tart. Margarita is a favorite of ours. Sneak and I have actually tried over 400 different tequilas. As research, you guys.
It's work. Somebody has to do the work. Okay.
Lemon drop is another classic cocktail. Everyone loves lemon drop.
Oh, espresso. Yes, ginger beer.
Yeah, we were in Italy 2 years ago and we had some amazing espresso.
Yes, drinkers.
Moscow Mule. Mm-hmm. Go buy the rare bit if you like a good Moscow Mule.
Yes, they have the best. And there's homemade ginger beer.
Mojito, little rum action for the people. Yes.
Yes, our mojito is lovely, lovely. One of our favorite. Rum has a really, really fun history as well. You want to talk about the rum?
You take it away, friends.
Okay, well, rum is really connected with the slave trade and how they used to pay for enslaved Africans with rum and also things that they needed for the colonized lands. Mm-hmm. So to pay for certain things or to barter different services, people would use rum as payment instead of money. So that is one little history about rum.
And if you look down, I'm sure you all have visited Rainbow Row. You can go down to Streets in Barbados, which is also Charleston's sister city, and it looks just like Rainbow Rose. So not only were the people who settled Charleston inspired by the beautiful rum coming from the Spice Islands, but also by their architecture and the way their streets looked and their culture that they had over there in the islands of Barbados and Antigua and all those amazing countries that still give us delicious rum.
And a fun fact about Barbados, I know this is kind of off topic, but we have more original architecture that's Bayesian. I've learned that, Bayesian. We have more architecture here in Charleston that's Bayesian than actual Barbados. So those Charleston singles,
Yes.
that is direct descended architecture from Barbados to keep the air flowing through your homes when we didn't have air conditioning back in the day when we were dying of heat in the South in all the southern states.
Right, because our climate is so tropical. It's very much like the islands of Grenada. So they got so much influence. I mean, they even went down to those islands. I know again, this is a tangent. And you can hear more about it in our book, Holy Spirit, Charleston's Culture Through Cocktail, when we talk about this in depth. But there was so much training that the settlers got from people in Barbados to really just set up on how to build a plantation, how to build a home, how to cultivate the rice, indigo, all those things. Either from enslaved Africans or for people in the Spice Islands. So we owe them a huge debt of gratitude.
Yes, but this is an entrepreneurship
That's
forum,
right.
and we're going to go back to the entrepreneurship of it all. When we started our business, it was difficult. It wasn't easy. It was like, we're like one of the first women of color to actually be experts in beverages. So it was a new platform. We had to really invent the wheel. And working with different grain growers, even with rice, because sake can be made from rice. So all of the great things that we grow here in the South have some type of connection with beverages. So being able to connect all of those things together and share with our following and actually educate ourselves, because our families also made beverages, either muscadine wine or different beers that we never had names to. We just were able to embrace that culture and see that it came from somewhere and actually add to it and add it into our book.
And that's why the book is so important, and we want to encourage people to tell their stories. We had such a challenge finding dates and photographs and names of people that we knew existed who were a part of our food and beverage culture, but we couldn't find any record of them. So if you guys have stories from your regions and your areas of your history, write it down, create a blog, create a social media platform so people can see this information, because people reach out to us now just because we have a presence on social media and they can't find other people who may be qualified mixologists who don't have a platform where they can be found. So create a social media site, a website, a blog, and just share those stories and interview your elders, interview your grandmama, ask her what she drank in her youth or where she went to go visit in her youth when she wanted to let her hair down. Those stories, I'm telling you, are going to crack you up, and it'll also give you perspective on, our culture and place and time.
Absolutely. And with us being approached by Evening Post Books and getting approached by our book, we got approached because of our blog. We were writing all of our adventures on our blog and in our social media. And the publisher and editor of Evening Post Books actually saw our blog, and they reached out to us and they said, we want this in book form. And so we were freaking out. We didn't understand how big of a deal this opportunity was until we actually got into the book, was writing, doing research, trying to find different stories, not only about people of color, but women, and trying to find those connections. And once we completed the book, it took about 2.5 years, we realized that we were the first African-American women to write a cocktail book in the entire country. So you're working on things, sometimes you never know the impact until you're actually inside of the event or immersed in the project, and you see how impactful it is for everyone.
You just never know who's looking for inspiration or looking for that story. So write it down and put it out there so you can be found. We work with all kinds of creatives, from photographers, makeup artists, graphic designers, and we get inspired by all sorts of things, but we need them to put that art form out for us to see it.
Yes, Absolutely.
So one more question before you guys go into your pitch battle. We want to see if any of our people who are on, if they're majors in hospitality and what they expect their future to look like. Like, where do they see themselves? Where do you see yourself working post-graduation? Is it in a hotel? Is it in a marketing agency, working for a brand? Like, what do you guys think career is going to look like after graduation?
And while you all are answering that, I want to engage with people who are not in, okay, we'll get to you with the book in a second, but I really want to engage with people who are not in hospitality. Like, just find what you love. You'd be surprised how many people love that as well. So you find what you love, whether it's rocks, whether it's water, whether it's, aerodynamics, whatever it is, just find it and stay persistent. It takes time to build things. I know we live in a microwave world now where we want things like that, but you won't appreciate it as much. Our journey in Cocktail Bandits is so special to me because we went through a lot of ups and downs, a lot. And everything is not going to come perfectly, because why would you appreciate it if it all came to you ready-made?
Right.
So just go with what you love. Don't listen to what other people have to say unless it's constructive. Believe in what you are doing, have tunnel vision, and just know that if it's not the exact goal that you're going for, you'll find what you love in the actual journey of going through that. So don't be afraid to think about something new, different, or innovative. Somebody wants to see it, and it might be us. You never know.
That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody bought the book, you can get Holy Spirits at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, on our website, cocktailbandits.com, through our publisher, Eden Coast Books. We have office space in Redux Art Gallery, so if you want a signed copy, we can arrange that as well. So we're out and about. We're trying to, maximize our business during this very difficult time during quarantine, and we're getting really creative. So this is perfect timing for you guys to showcase your art. People are tuned in to social media, they're tuned in on their phones, and they're looking for creative content. They're looking for stories to tell.
And young people, take advantage of social media. It's not just for fun. You can literally build your business on social media. Like, before you think about posting your friends or some funny meme, think about what you want to convey to the world and actually make your platform your message. Mm-hmm. I know you seem like it's like, oh, I'm so young now, but these things will add up and accumulate to help you become the person that you're going to be in the future. So take it seriously. I'm not saying be so serious, because I'm a fun-loving girl, but I do understand the fact of learning what you like and making it work for you.
And also, a fun fact, when we were in college at CSC, we were one of the first people to get Facebook. And Tanika was vehemently opposed to Facebook. She was like, oh, what is this? I'm private. I don't want people to see what I have going on. I was so against
social media altogether.
Like, it took her like a year to get on social media. And now we make a living off of social media. So you never know how things are going to turn out for you. Don't be so quick to dismiss something, and kind of see how you can use it to your advantage.
Absolutely.
Any questions, you guys?
Any questions?
I think we're going to bring on Dr. Dave Wyman to kick off the pitch competition. Thank you both so much. That was great.
Well, awesome. So first of all, thank you very much, Johnny and Tanika. You are the very first women ambassadors I've ever met on drinks. So congratulations. and I've met a lot of entrepreneurs in my time. So fantastic story. The book is called Holy Spirits, and I look forward to getting one. So excellent. Look forward to meeting you sometime soon in Charleston. Today, it's my pleasure to first introduce our gender equality pitch. We have 6 students or student teams, and they are all pitching on SDG number 5, gender equality and women empowerment, okay? What we've done is we've taken them by random order. So we're going to start off. Each team has a 1 minute to pitch a concept or a policy or product on gender equality. And the one team that we're going to ask everybody afterwards to do a Zoom poll. And the team that wins this will win $1,000, courtesy of the Center for Entrepreneurship in the School of Business. Okay, so by random draw, our very first team to pitch and take notes so you know which one is your favorite. Our very first team to pitch is Shield with Megan Adair, Rachel Dining, and Sarah Sace. So I'm going to put you guys on. Oh, actually, Dave, you've got to do that. I can't do it. You're going to have to make them co-hosts.
Yeah.
Can everyone see?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. 81% of women experience sexual harassment, and because of this, many women worry when they're alone. But what if they weren't alone? Take Jess and her friends here, for instance. They decide to make a group on our Shield app before they go out. For the rest of the night, if anyone needs help, whether that's they getting separated at the bar or walking home alone, the whole group will be notified. For Jess, Shield provides her aid and companionship at the click of a button, whether that's getting in contact with her friends, receiving a fake call, or if it's needed, contacting the police. We're Shield, and we want to give women the tools to be safe while staying social. Our solution is a mobile app that gives our users multiple ways to get out of these awkward encounters. When you're out with friends, Shield gives you real-time updates on your friend's activity. By yourself, Shield still has your back with our Her feature, which we like to call our helpful escape resource, which is our fake calling service powered by our AI assistant, Sheila. You can feel safe and confident knowing that Shield will record all of these calls. Download Shield and remember to be safe and stay social. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Megan, Rachel, and Sarah. I have a 22-year-old daughter, so I totally understand the concept. Our second candidate tonight is Lauren Durkee with Nutriher.
All right, can I go ahead and share my screen with you guys?
Dave, you've got to empower her.
Oh, I think it worked.
Now everybody should have the ability to do the share.
All right. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
All right, just let me get started. All right, so hi, you guys. My name is Lauren Durkee, and the name of my product is Nutriher. As someone that's learned about nutrition on the internet, I know that there's a ton of misinformation out there that can be really detrimental to both your mental and physical health, recommending way too low calorie counts and cleanses and things that will not work. This can be extremely discouraging to young women, making them feel like extremes are their only option. My product is an app and website combination that centralizes accurate information based off real studies, nutrition, and our anatomy, as well as all things fitness, so that young women can learn what they need to learn to meet their goals. And if maybe they need to reassign where they're putting that goalpost for the best of their mental and physical health. What sets my product apart from sites like MyFitnessPal is that after someone tracks their fitness and nutrition for a given amount of time, a real dietitian will go in and give them advice about what they may be doing right or wrong. I believe in everything. Education is key, and this is no exception. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. This is a great product. It also, I personally could use this, so it's not just for women. It's a great product. Number 3 is Kristen Graham with Money Talks.
I'm not sure how to stop sharing my screen. Sorry. All right, there we go.
Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Hi, I'm Kristen. Want to know a secret? Your degree won't end the gender wealth gap. In fact, on average, you'll make $26,000 less than the man who was hired with you. Same degree, same start date, but $260,000 less over 10 years. Financial literacy rates are large contributing factors to the gender wealth gap in the US. As we still wait for Congress to pass another stimulus bill, it's clear that it's up to us to get the real education we need to succeed. That is why Money Talks is vital, an app for women by women dedicated to financial literacy comprehension. We want to give you the tools so you can create your own wealth, starting with topics such as salary negotiations, student loan financing, stock market analysis, and so much more. And that's why you should download Money Talks, your ticket to financial freedom.
Thank you, Kristen. We definitely know that Money Talks, so that's a very apt app. Thank you very much. Our next candidate is Lauren Graham with a discussion on women's policy.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So my name is Lauren Kendall Graham, and my pitch is the Board of American Physicians on Abortion Legislation. So pictured here are the 25 Alabama senators who are responsible for one of the most oppressive abortion bills in this country. It criminalizes nearly all forms of abortion in the state, including cases that involve rape. I mention this because the problem my pitch addresses is that women all over the country are losing their right to vital health care due to men in Congress with no medical knowledge or experience passing legislation that determines what women can and cannot do with their bodies. I say men in Congress because when it comes to bills that restrict women's access to health care, men are more often than not the sole supporters of the bill. My solution is to create a platform of experienced medical professionals who can advise and guide Congress regarding legislation that affects women's health. The reason why this board will only deal with matters of abortion and women's health is because this is one of the only fields of medicine where Congress has criminalized doctors for performing safe and medical procedures. Abortion is healthcare and healthcare is human right. If Congress is going to vote on the rights of women regarding their reproductive health, then it needs to be advised by professional and experienced doctors who can more inform them on how to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. And we know that all decision-making is better than when women are involved. Thank you very much. Our next one is Period Pact by Addison McPhee, Dhruvi Patel, and Madeline Bird.
All right, can you see our PowerPoint?
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Okay. According to UNICEF, the average person who menstruates spends 7 years total on their period, and many lack access to basic products to manage this time in a hygienic manner.
We are Dhruvi Patel,
Addison McPhee.
And Madeline Bird, and we are the founders of Period Pact.
Seeing the lack of access to period products around the world, as well as the stockpile of those same products here in the US, the idea for Period Pact came to be.
Our goal here at Period Pact is to connect individuals with extra products with organizations and shelters where they can donate these products and help people around the world who need them most.
Our website makes it quick and easy for people to find organizations and donate products or money.
Users are able to locate our partners around the world, read real testimonies from those we have helped, and easily make a donation.
To make a profit, we would take a certain percentage of monetary donations. However, the majority of our profit would stem from merchandise sales.
We hope to have a lasting impact helping people globally while also working towards several United Nations SDGs, including SDG 5, which is gender equality.
Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please contact any of us here at Period Pact for further information.
Thank you, Addison, Dhruvi, and Madeline. We know how important the access to these products are, particularly in the third world. And our final contestant tonight is community helper with Sarah Rosso and Mary Morano.
All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
We created the community helper.
Meet Maria. She's a single mom who lives in El Centro, California.
Maria has always struggled balancing her work as a manager at In-N-Out and taking care of her 9 and 13-year-old boys, especially during COVID-19's remote learning.
The pressure to find affordable childcare hinders her ability to get a promotion, exacerbates her financial troubles, and causes her stress and guilt.
Think about all the Marias in the world. Community Helper connects mothers with retired people, part-time employees, homemakers, and teens who can provide free childcare and already live in the community.
Unlike Care.com, our app will be volunteer-based, but volunteers can actually earn gift cards from our sponsors for their time.
Maria can be effective at her job, save money, and reduce stress while bringing in additional resources to her low-income community, including food, clothes, books, and entertainment.
We allow communities to come together and solve their problems in a sustainable way. With the community helper, Maria's optimistic, her kids are taken care of, and now her community is prospering too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah and Mary. We know how important this is, particularly now in COVID times where it's so difficult for everybody to find childcare. Okay, so Dr. Hansen is going to run a poll and where you get a chance to vote for one of the 6 teams, and we will announce the winners at the end of tonight's event. So go and choose which one you would like to support. Okay, we got about another 10 seconds to go, please. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. And our polling is now done. Thank you very much. We will announce the winner at the very end of tonight. We'll have Dr. Hansen will announce the winner. Thank you very much. So it is now my pleasure to introduce a very special guest. Think about it, in the late 1960s, while America celebrated Woodstock, Jimi Hendrix, and free love, in China, the country was in the throes of the Cultural Revolution. With his parents, who were intellectuals, confined to re-education camps, Andrew Xu was sent to the countryside for 5 years to pick cotton by hand. Now that's what I call hard labor. And some of our students complain about too much homework. He started teaching himself English by studying a calculus book and using a dictionary. Fast forward a few years and he earned a PhD in aerospace engineering at Georgia Tech. Having worked at both NASA and Rolls-Royce, he entered academia in 1997. He exemplifies the faculty scholar model with almost 100 publications. And for the non-academics, I tell you 100 publications is an immense amount. Numerous awards and even an international patent. Before joining the college in May 2019, he was provost for academic affairs at the University of Toledo. He is passionate about diversity, especially about helping women succeed in male-dominated disciplines, such as our own computer engineering program. And he talks with pride about the college's African-American studies. His goal at the College of Charleston is simple: create a national university with an international reputation. It is my pleasure, on behalf of Dave Hansen and the whole team here, to introduce the 23rd president of the College of Charleston today, President Andrew T. Xu.
Thank you so much, David, for that kind introduction. I'm so excited and honored to be welcoming you to tonight's second annual Women of Color Entrepreneurs Forum at the College of Charleston. Thank you for joining us. The panelists we have gathered here tonight for you represent not only a wide range of business ventures, but an even wider range of experience. Together, our panelists have seen it all, both the high and the lows. While their individual experiences may be different, there is a thread that connects them all. And that is their drive, their passion, and their resilience as businesswomen. Each woman here tonight overcame tremendous odds on their road to success. It shouldn't be that way. As a society, we still have so much more work to do when it comes to equity regarding race and gender. The success of these women of color and the success of these entrepreneurs should remind all of us that change is possible and that change is happening. I want to thank our panelists for being here and sharing their perspectives and wisdom with us here at the College of Charleston. Before turning it over to our moderator, Professor David Hansen, I want to say just a few words about our entrepreneurship program here at the college. This year, we approved a new strategic plan for the college, a 10-year plan that I hope will position the great institution for the next 250 years of success. While the plan's main pillars focus on what you might expect, that is student success, employee success, and academic distinction, a cross-cutting theme for the entire plan is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Events like tonight help us better realize our goals as an institution and as a community of scholars. I want to personally thank Professor Hansen for all of his hard work in setting up programs like this for our students, faculty, staff, and community, and his tireless dedication to empowering women of color in their entrepreneurial dreams. The College of Charleston is a special place because of faculty like you. Thank you, David. Tonight also reminds us that the College of Charleston is a place and a space for all of us to come together to share our stories and experience so that we might learn from one another and be better for it. So without further ado, let me hand things over to Professor Hansen.
Thank you, President Shute. I'm really excited. This is going to be a tremendous event. We have 70 participants already, which is wonderful. We have a great collection of panelists, and I'm going to call out each one and ask that they provide a quick introduction of themselves before we begin with the forum discussion. So first off, and I'm going alphabetical order by last name, Sadea Bellamy, the Community Development Loan Officer from South Carolina Community Loan Fund. If you'd like to unmute and introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening. I'm Sadea Bellamy. I am the Community Development Financial, I am a loan officer with the South Carolina Community Loan Fund. Basically, my responsibilities are providing assistance and helping applicants through the application process from the origination of the loan up down through the closing process. Basically, what we do is we try to assist borrowers who a lot of times can't find access in traditional lending, or who have had, problems in historically getting that access in lending, such as minorities or women. So basically, we have 3 different offices: our Charleston office, our Columbia office, as well as our Spartanburg office. And so I cover the Midlands area, but we do have other offices that take care of the other parts of the regions in South Carolina.
All right, well, thank you. Next up, we have Dorothea Bernique, the Executive Director of Increasing Hope and an organizer with the Charleston branch of 1 Million Cups event.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dorothea Bernique, the Executive Director of Increasing Hope Financial Training Center. HOPE is an acronym for Helping Others Prosper Economically. And so for 15 years now, as a community-based organization, we've been helping individuals manage their personal finances, rebuild their credit, become homeowners. We've helped save homes from foreclosure, as well as renovate homes, prepare tax returns for free, and as well as do small business training within the community. We've had about an $8 million impact, probably going on $9 million now, impact on the community through the services that we have provided. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Next up, we have a current student here at the college, Tazaria Green. Zaria, if you want to unmute.
Hi, my name is Tazaria Green. I am a current student at the CFC. I am graduating next month with a business administration degree with a concentration in entrepreneurship. And I will call myself a prospective entrepreneur. I want to be in the skincare line, kind of figuring out, I'm in this weird position in life. I'm brainstorming about what I want to do, and within the next couple months, I learned so many things here at the College of Charleston. I want to thank Dr. Hansen, Professor Wyman, and Professor Alfonso, because I had all 3 of them. Without them, I wouldn't, know what to do, in my life. I want to especially thank Dr. Alfonso, because without his tech venture class, I wouldn't know what direction I want to go. So I want to especially thank him. And I'm just glad that, this is my first panel. I'm nervous, but I feel good about this panel. I attended the first one, and it was a pretty good turnout. And yeah, thanks for having me, Dr. Hansen.
I'm glad to have you. One of the reasons why I asked you to be a part of the panel is you worked on a project in in my social entrepreneurship class on women of color entrepreneurs. So you provide some of that context from your research, but also help us know what we can do better to help women of color students through entrepreneurship at the college. So thank you. Next up, I want to introduce Amber Johnson, the Equity, Inclusion, and Racial Conciliation Manager for the City of Charleston.
Good evening. Thank you, Professor Hinton, for having me here today. I am the Equity, Inclusion, and Racial Conciliation Manager for the City of Charleston. I've been in this position for a little over a year. It was created out of the city's apology for slavery. Our biggest project that we're working on right now is the Special Commission on Equity, Inclusion, and Racial Conciliation, which is made up of 6 council members and 7 community members. We've been looking at 7 different focus areas throughout the city to help bring equity to the city of Charleston. So I'm really excited to be here with you all tonight to have this discussion. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce my friend, which I haven't seen in a while, Norris Kruger. He has many titles, so I think I listed here, he is the eShip Ecosystem Champion through the Kaufman Foundation.
Both look better with beards. So COVID hasn't been a complete disaster. Hi, Dr. Norris Kruger. I am an ecosystem builder here in Boise, Idaho. I am involved with the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation's eShip initiative to promote ecosystem building, and topics like we have on the table today are of critical importance and have been for a long time for the Kaufman Foundation. I have a research hat. I'm doing focusing on ecosystems, and one of the things that comes up in this arena is what are the signals that the ecosystem is giving, both intentional and non-intentional, and what are both tangible and intangible others. We've learned a lot on the scholarly side. We've learned a lot on the practitioner side through Kaufman and other efforts. But most of all, I'm happy to share that. Most of all, I'm here to learn and from all of you. This is, to me, a golden opportunity to get some new insights that I can take back to Kaufman and that I can take to the scholarly world.
Thanks, and I hope that with all the experience you have, you're going to have plenty of insights.
And I promise no Venn diagrams unless you ask. Inside joke there.
Yeah. All right. Next, I would like to welcome Joanna Lau, founder and CEO of Lau Technologies and member of the School of Business Board of Governors.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. So thank you for having me here. I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. I founded 4 companies. A couple of them are management buyout. One of them, it's a startup where we took it public, which has to do with facial recognition technologies, and it incorporated in all the driver license. So I'm an immigrant. I came here from Hong Kong, and I am thrilled to participate, mainly because I really believe that women bring a lot of value to the community and businesses. That was the reason why I joined the board of College of Charleston, and I put together a Women for Women Summit this year. Some of you may have been there, and it was quite successful. And the purpose is to celebrate women, elevate women, create connections, and share our insights. So I'm looking forward to the discussion tonight.
Great, thank you. Next up, and I don't see her in the list, but we have Diana Salient, founder and CEO of Salient Language Consulting, a board member of the YWCA in Greater Charleston, and a board member of the College of Charleston Department of Hispanic Studies. Are you here, Diana? I don't see you on the list, but you might be under a different name. Okay, maybe she will join us later, hopefully. So I will introduce next Audrey Wetzel, co-founder and CEO of Resource Partners, LLC.
Hi, thank you and good evening. And thanks, David, for the invitation. Resource Partners is a 25-year plus old company. We're a women-owned, minority-owned health technology consulting firm. We're headquartered in North Charleston, South Carolina, with offices in Washington, D.C. and in Miami. We are our name, Resource Partners, in that we partner with other industry experts to provide solutions to our clients. And those solutions are primarily grounded in health technology solutions, whether it's to community-based organizations, health systems, or just individuals needing tools to do and serve the populations that they see. I'm very excited to be here, and I'd like to give a special thanks to Monique Hill, who's also part of the panel today, for making me aware of this great opportunity.
Thank you. And speaking of Monique Hill, I want to introduce her now. I saved her for last because she is the co-host. She's been working with me. I've been working with her, putting this together. It's been a great experience. And so let's welcome Monique Hill, founder of About Her Business and co-host of this event.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and also thank you for including About Her Business in this very important conversation and event. One of the things that I move forward in general and in business is the power of collaboration. So About Her Business, it was created and exists solely to help women entrepreneurs, specifically women of color, leverage collaborative community and opportunities. And by doing so, I'm able to provide services such as digital strategies, also curating some of the best training and networking events. So I am who I am and where I am because of the power of collaboration and social capital, if you will. And so my gift to the world is making sure that everybody takes advantage of that.
Thanks. So the plan for tonight is that we're going to address the question, how can we help foster the growth of women of color entrepreneurs in the Lowcountry or even the whole state of South Carolina? We're dividing this up into 3 parts following the themes from Global Entrepreneurship Week. We have education, ecosystems, and policy. So I'm just going to throw out the question and invite each of the panelists to engage in conversation, throw out ideas, questions. For audience members, if you have a question, please type it in chat and we'll try and work it in. So that the question then is, how can we help foster the growth of women of color entrepreneurs in the Lowcountry through education? So what can, what can the College of Charleston do better? What can the education system, whether it's the K through 12, other universities, et cetera? How can we help? Who wants to start?
Well, can I just, I'll start.
Yeah.
I took the opportunity to take a look at Ms. Green's report. So very proud of her representing the college for the competition. And when I look at her report, I think she really touched on 3 very, very important things from some of her slides. So I did my homework. The education part, as well as the policy and the ecosystem, it really tie to each other. There's no one single unit that could do it by itself. So I always believe in order to have any kind of success, is to help people accountable, right? But how do you hold people accountable? It's the number. Okay, so if you want success, first we must present the current number. What's in it? So the number, certainly it's not exciting. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this kind of conversation. So I think bringing number one is to bring awareness. To bring awareness is to show the number. And then once you show the number, then is to hold, if this is a policy issue, then the state, as some of my panelists here have impact to the states and the government, it's to how do we show those numbers to hold the government accountable, set up certain percentage of company or funding should go to women of color. Okay, so you have to hold that to a percentage where you have the goalpost that where people commit to do that. And then with that, we have to provide the pipeline, which is a pipeline of women of color who is prepared to be entrepreneurs. So there is steps to get there. So it's not that I have a policy, but we don't have a pipeline of women. That always became the excuse of why we're not giving more money to the women with, color. So we need to have the policy to hold people accountable. We have to have build a pipeline to get people to that finish line so that, you couldn't use that as an excuse. And the third thing I think is the most important thing is how do you create this, the ecosystem of this networking. As one of the panelists here, I think it's, oh gosh, about her business, Monique. I mean, she is doing it. She is trying to, I love her quote saying that she talked about going to networking. It was like, what a waste of time, because what is networking? People have to understand, we have to understand that when we show up for a purpose and we want to walk away not empty hand. So I'll stop there.
So I'll go next as a follow-up and say, one of the prime ways to do this is by hosting these types of events, Dr. Hansen, where we are able to bring together the various sectors, women from the community, and have a conversation on what the needs are and how we can address that. So in terms of the role of the CFC academic systems in any city beyond Charleston, I think the very important role is to serve as that resource of research and also helping facilitate this type of discussion.
I'd like to add something as well. And I think Joanna has made some very appropriate comments as it relates to women being prepared. So, and folks being accountable if there are opportunities for minority business or access to different minority business. I am certified not only locally, but statewide, but also nationally as a women-owned, minority-owned company. But I think even before you get there, as a Charlestonian, I think it's important for this generation, because I was fortunate that I grew up in a generation where there were a lot more minority businesses than there even are today. And the minority communities have lost businesses because minority businesses, the people who look like the folks who actually were performing services in their communities are no longer there. And so children don't have the models that they need in order for them to attain what it is that they can truly attain. And so we've got to find a way to start at 2, at 3, so that children see business owners that look like them. And so they know that it's attainable. We have to get back to making sure that our communities are responsive to that. and whatever it takes, whether it's through banking, whether it's through opportunities like what the College of Charleston is presenting this evening, where we have a forum to actually discuss it in a way that's meaningful. I think those are critical, because if we wait until folks are about to graduate from the College of Charleston, a lot of the opportunities won't be there. The ability for Ms. Green to go into, if she chooses to, work in a minority-owned business is not going to be there for her, or she may have to go outside of Charleston in order to have that opportunity. And so I think that certainly policy dictates what happens across the board today, but I think we need to be very mindful that we're preparing for the next generation and the generations that are being born this year in 2020, not the ones who are about to graduate from college in 2020.
I would like to add on, what I would like to see personally are more classes catered to minority business owners at the College of Charleston. I remember this incident because I was looking for classes to complete my credits, and I stumbled upon this class, and it's a Management 351 class. It's a minority in entrepreneurship. And I had contacted the department chair of management, and she simply said that there's nobody to teach this particular class. So I say implementing more classes catered to the minority business owners at the College of Charleston, at any school, because I read this article, and there's a lag between, entrepreneurs of colors and white entrepreneurs, because the minorities, they lack the knowledge of business management. So I would like to see, more implicated in that. And minorities would be more prone to not even having a mentor or a role model. So I would like to see, more role models, coming into the, the community of Charleston, because there's a lot of great talents in like the beauty and health, because during the research, we figured out that more women of color entrepreneurs would go to the beauty and health sector. So I like to see, more of that implemented into, the school system, because I think like it's really important. And like Audrey said, to be prepared, for, the disparities that they'd be stumbled upon people that look similar to me.
I would also add, just to piggyback off of what Audrey said, that it's not only important for kids to see people of color in entrepreneur roles, but also to understand financial, and basically financial literacy is the key. Like, I feel that we need to start that at a very young age, teaching kids about credit, teaching kids about entrepreneurship. Once they are old enough to understand financial statements and they have that entrepreneur spirit in them, they should start learning to do financial statements. A business owner should not learn to do a financial statement when he wants to take out a loan. That is something that they need to know even prior to college, I would say. I was just having a conversation, we were joking online about remembering our 5th grade teacher. And there was this one teacher and people were saying how mean she was. And I was like, I remember her teaching me how to balance a checkbook. And I thought that was just the coolest thing. In the 5th grade, I knew how to balance a checkbook. So it's very important to know those things at a very young age, because we as African-American or minority women, a lot of times we don't have that financial education at a very young age. And then we get a late start. So we're learning in our 30s and our 40s how to correct our credit, when we should know these things from the start before we turn 18 years old.
And I would like to address how do we reach foster growth among women of color. I suggest we have to meet them where they are, because in the line of business that I am, being community service and nonprofit work, what I have found is that the education that is needed for the entrepreneurs, for the group of ladies that I serve with, may not have even attended college. at all, or their level is technical college, whereby they are the massage therapists, they're the nail technicians. You know, you want to include males, the barbers, but they need to have entrepreneurship integrated into the technical trainings that they are receiving for the skill sets that they want to manage businesses or have businesses in. And also, as Sadia said, pull in the financial education, the money management. And so many times they will leave school with the skill set, but not the knowledge of how to become that independent business owner for that particular business. And so along the policy lines, for me in the community service area, because I am a nonprofit, I cannot receive a women-owned minority status. I cannot receive a veteran-owned minority status as a veteran. I think these are some of the policies that need to be addressed in the area of entrepreneurship for small business owners, because many women of color love serving their community and do nonprofit work. And so, but we lose out on some of the benefits that come from those certifications as a result of being a nonprofit as well. And so I say, let's meet our community and those entrepreneurs where they are, educate, include financial literacy, and then open up those certifications to nonprofit business owners as well.
If I can jump in, the discussions we've been having here in the Northwest, and some really important points. Years ago, I was introduced to a program where the students had taken ownership and were not only leading, they were designing their own entrepreneurship education. They were deeply co-embedded with the community. They were doing incredible project-based learning. Oh, by the way, they were third graders. Because I had asked, they said, would you like to teach this class? I said, no, I want to take it. And they said, you can't because you're not 9. So I said, next year. But it was astonishing what can be done in even primary school in terms of entrepreneurship education. And that has a lot to do. I would tell David to cover his ears that maybe the presence of having actual teachers is getting the educational community on board can be incredibly powerful. Because entrepreneurship, there's a lot of research and a lot of hands-on evidence I've seen that it's not just formal education. Whoever said you shouldn't wait till you're a senior in college to take this stuff is absolutely right. That the more you can immerse. I talk to young tech entrepreneurs almost every day, and they have no bloody clue what the startup life is all about. They don't even understand what is it like to be in a small business? What is it to be in a new business? There's a lot of tacit knowledge they don't get. So something where, if this is an opportunity to put the College of Charleston to work, give them some more to do in their copious free time, is to be thinking about how do we do a better job of reaching out into the high school, the junior high, even the grade schools. There's probably, does COC have an education school, David?
Yes, we do.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
They'll teach you how to teach. And also there's money out there to support this sort of thing, just saying. But informal, in a lot of European countries are finding they might have an entrepreneurship class, but it's the entrepreneurship club that is doing most of the damage in terms of having impact on how they think, how they behave, and what their skills are. So the more that you can encourage that and let them run things is I think truly important. And what would it take to have kind of an apprenticeship? Before I ever started a business, I really wish I could have gone and hung out with a startup and found out what insane things I was getting into. There's a lot that is counterintuitive. The knowing how to balance your checkbook. There are a lot of millennials out there who don't know how to do that because they do it online. But financial literacy is absolutely imperative. There's a guy up in Atlanta who's gone national, but named John Hope Bryant. Any of you know that guy? He's made a career out of pushing. How do we help? Everybody needs greater financial literacy. And I would just tell him he's a great guy. It's worth checking out. But David, I would suggest, that there are lots of things to do. There used to be this old Small Business Institute program. The SBA would pay business schools to have students do projects in local businesses. A whole $250. But it was an astounding model for getting, both helping the businesses, but also a huge reality check for the students. So if you're not doing hardcore project-based learning in the community, David, you guys should be doing that. Work on the apprenticeship and start a club and maybe figure out how to get the education folks involved. A small order.
Yeah.
But they all work. All these processes work.
Yeah. Well, that kind of brings us to sort of the next topic, which is ecosystems and bringing all of these different parts together. So I guess with this question, it's more, how can we build better ecosystems around Charleston to help women of color entrepreneurs?
Well, I'll start us off with that one, I guess. I'm excited to hear everybody really hone in on the need for the financial literacy. The wording used now is financial capacity, building our capacity to understand financials, whether it be from the business side or the personal side. And from the time that I started Increasing Hope, my goal was to create a one-stop shop where individuals could come and receive various services for financial education, money management, whether it be becoming a homeowner, credit, doing your taxes. And we have successfully done that, I believe. The next step in the area that we're expanding into now is creating that ecosystem, or bringing under our umbrella that ecosystem for the small business owner or the entrepreneur. And so I'm a part of a collaborative that is doing a build out of a building that will host what will be called the Opportunity Center. Inside of that will be a small business incubator, and entrepreneurship services and trainings will be added to what we currently do. Once again, bringing all of that together under one umbrella where the entrepreneur can come in, not only learn about entrepreneurship, how to start a business, get coaching and mentoring, but also make sure that they understand both the personal financial aspect of running a business and the business aspect, the financials and all of that. And so I'm very excited to be a part of that project and being able to bring that to the Charleston area. I think being able to have one place that people can go to have their needs met is valuable to those, especially that they're starting out. You're not running all over town, going here and going there. And our services are focused on individuals of color, run by a person of color who's been there, done that. And so I think it's going to be an ideal place, an ideal ecosystem for the North Charleston area. So we're very excited about that.
That is very exciting. I applaud you of doing that. So what are the thing I'm trying to do with College of Charleston is to put together a Women Leadership Initiative Center. And the purpose of this center is to offer mentorship programs and create curriculum support for the faculties, because I think the faculty could get more input from the community and business and alumni to create programs that could become a resource for women in business. And in my experience, I really find a lot of companies have difficult conversations with women, and not to mention women in colors. So I'm hoping a place where we could, specifically for College of Charleston, is to both mentor and coach students and women in the workplace, as well as businesses, to navigate some difficult conversations, because none of us start out an entrepreneur. We work, we learn, we exhausted what we learn, and then we say, hey, I could do much better on my own. I would think that it also could engage constituents and draw on the network of alumni. So to heighten the skills of young people and give them resources how to enter the world. So it's to a lot of you have said, going back to the grade schools, but if I just look at College of Charleston itself, is leverage our alumni, our current students, build that network from them, because they need some kind of a sort of a guiding light so that they don't have to repeat the same mistakes, or we could do a quick step to move on to the next step. So with that, I also think it's also a place to help women to become legislators, to take a higher position. When you have people who look like us, they have empathy, and we need more women in legislative positions, so they could change policy and could help navigate where we need to go. So that's just my view of how we could do this.
I'll comment on that also, because one of the things that I am very inspired by in Charleston, and also just hearing this conversation of some of the things that are taking place that we don't always know. And so the fact that we're moving towards breaking down a lot of these silos, whereas the work has been in progress, but bringing all of that together. So to hear that in North Charleston, something like that is actually coming together, that's going to help support our women of color or entrepreneurs of color in general, is very exciting. I would like to see that replicated in the city of Charleston. And I think that is one of the things I would like to hear more from our local municipality in terms of what we're doing for entrepreneurs of color in the city of Charleston, in the downtown area, to help businesses relocate, co-locate, and be able to thrive there. We know right now there is a handful of Black-owned businesses on King Street as an example. So how do we foster growth and I guess equality or equal opportunity in terms of business representation in our downtown area, when right now it's on one hand you can count how many exist. So hearing about those types of incubator programs and models that exist. I know it's pretty new to North Charleston, but there are some cities that are doing some really innovative work along those lines, such as the district, so DC. There's some great work out in California as well as Arizona, and how they're being able to do that. So I think we also have to talk about more of the policy side of that, but also just addressing the elephant in any room that we have, and that's the lack of diversity and representation of Black businesses in our downtown area.
I wanted to ask Amber Johnson if there's anything with her office that incorporates anything to do with minority-owned businesses.
Well, I would start with the city's minority women enterprise office. They've been doing a lot of work to kind of help with the technical assistance aspect, to help with the access to capital. So they've been doing a lot of work, and they've had to pivot since COVID, but I think they've done a good job to try to create those opportunities and to create awareness for businesses. I think with my office specifically, the Special Commission on Equity and Inclusion, we have a subcommittee that's focused on economic empowerment, and they've been talking about the things that you talked about, Monique, about how do we support Black businesses? How do we help them find access to capital? How do we remove some of those barriers that are preventing them from starting in maintaining those businesses, specifically in the downtown area. So we're having those discussions. We're looking at best practices from other cities and trying to see what we can bring to Charleston to help grow more Black businesses in the area.
So David, I love the idea of the word ecosystem, and I think of the college being an excellent hub for the diversity that we're hearing on the call from Joanna and from Amber and from Doretha. So I think when you think of an ecosystem, you think about a combination of a lot of different things, a lot of different processes, people at different levels of and phases within their businesses. I think it's important to bring folks in who are the decision makers so that they get to know who those folks are who are making things happen in their community. And I find that to be, it's almost like a divide and conquer is what I find over the 25 plus years of being a serial entrepreneur, because I own several different companies. In that, oftentimes it's, small communities, particularly Charleston, they have ways in which they have their, communities that are exclusive. And so it's hard to penetrate or to get access to certain resources. So I think this might be probably a great launch point where the College of Charleston might consider a convening of all of the folks who are here on this call, especially the panel members, and seeing how we could look at doing something on a more continuous basis so that the next meeting next year in November, we'll have some lessons learned and talk a little bit about where we go and how we can proceed forward. Because there's some great resources on this panel. And I think it's unfortunate that we're all sort of siloed.
Well, I hope you're not waiting till next November to do this. Is it, Audrey, you're spot on, is it, the ecosystem model it captures the dynamism, the complex, ever-changing interconnections of all of the players. Mm-hmm. And one of the jokes is there's no, in an entrepreneurial ecosystem, there's no apex predator except the most powerful institutions in the community. We try to sort of differentiate between sort of top down, that the institutions and power players are trying to run things and trying to take advantage of the silos while the entrepreneurs are bubbling up. I recommend, it's an older book, Brad Feld in 2012, 2013, about what makes a great startup community. There's a brand new version, Feld and Hathaway. I recommend both of those. But that universities, when they and other institutions, they want to be leaders when there really should be feeders. Kind of a clever but being a convener, being the fair broker is something that's kind of hard to do. One of the projects I'm involved in is titled, "If you want inclusive entrepreneurship, you should include the entrepreneurs." That this is this bottom up. I'm an expert, but I listen to the entrepreneurs because they will always surprise me, and it's important to hear their voices and hear all of the voices. I live in a community where all the really important entrepreneur events have been run by a fairly small number of people who are very important, and I'm going to hate saying this, but patriarchal probably is the word that comes to mind. But they honestly think they're God's chosen people to run things, and I'll assume good intent, assume positive intent, but they don't hear it. So what's been happening here? We started a new women's business center. We have an African American chamber. We have a kick-ass. I would pay money to go to the Hispanic chamber, not the regular chamber. It's just they're doers. Let's have events put on by them, and then the more that these groups. So every one of these, if you've got most of the events happening, what's the cliche? Oh, diversity is inviting people to the dance, and inclusion is asking them to dance. And I kind of like, screw that. Why don't you help them put on the dance? And this is the kind of thing, again, the universities can empower. And the other thing before you have this meeting of the minds and everybody comes heavily armed to this meeting, is a great student project, David. I'm giving David more work every time and I can help you guys with it, is doing a great map of your ecosystem. And make sure that you have the students doing it, and making sure that the groups that you're hearing here, that we're hearing from here, having them at, because of every ecosystem map in the world, there's one thing in common. Who's at the center? The person who drew it. And if you have multiple people involved that are not the usual suspects, I mean, you can look at things like Kansas City and some of these other cities that it's just been staggering what they can do. And the students will do anything for an A, so they'll run through brick walls. Anyway, I'm talking too much, but you've got me excited.
Great. I actually am planning to take stuff from this event and apply it to my social entrepreneurship class in spring. I always try to work in some kind of theme, and more lately I've been trying to I teach both social entrepreneurship and ecopreneurship, and I try to get them, these classes, working with existing organizations, as opposed to just having students, generate some great idea that'll never go anywhere, but rather giving them practical experience. And so my ecopreneurship class this semester right now is working with Omar Mohammed, the Low Country Alliance for Model Communities, in addressing environmental justice issues, but using entrepreneurial techniques to come up with solutions. And so they just presented them yesterday, the initial solutions, and they're pretty spot on. So I'm hoping that continue with that in spring with the social entrepreneurship class. And to Zaria's point about the minority entrepreneurship class, I have been trying to get somebody to teach it for a couple of years, and I'm not finding it. So I'm going to try it this summer. I did gender and entrepreneurship last summer. It worked fine. So I think I can do the minority entrepreneurship. And we'll see. Maybe actually what it'll probably be is a combination. So it'll probably be women of color entrepreneurship as a class.
So I have a recommendation, because it's interesting. I really appreciate you doing this, because the important thing is starting the conversation. The fact that you having this conversation, this is your second year. And one of the things of giving a program is the stickiness. It has to stick. It has to have sustainability. It has to have some kind of attraction. You got to have students who want to sign up, but I don't think it should be limited to just students, because what you're talking about, it's a bigger issues than just students, number one. Number two, it's reverse the teaching. To teach is to learn. So in a way, is to bring in people to come in and teach that class for you by bringing in this panel of women, to each one of them to come in and teach in the panel style, but have a take-home value and a homework for them, which I really appreciate, that the 6 1-minute elevator speech, because when people start thinking too long, you lose them because they're not paying attention, right? Then the other point I'm curious is, I always think that for nonprofit should act like a for-profit, because there's no such thing as a nonprofit. You got to make money in order to do good, unfortunately, but that is reality. So this whole social entrepreneurship, I heard someone mention about being a minority certified person, but yet the business is nonprofit. You're not getting all the benefit. I think that is a flaw in the system to start with. So maybe we need to change it to a class B, which you could still get funding. It's a matter of how you incorporate. So one other thing I thought would be interesting is, is there any of those entrepreneurs out there existed that could inspire people to think more about the entrepreneurship, the social entrepreneurship, the eco entrepreneurship that you're talking about, because I think the best coach or mentor, it's to say, wow, this person have done it. It doesn't have to be a person. I mean, today with this pandemic, the benefit is they don't have to travel and you don't have to pay them, which is great. And it work out with the timing. And I think here, because data is one thing, but story goes a lot further, and story could inspire people.
Yeah, that's how I did the gender class last summer. Is I lined up, I think it was 9 speakers, including Monique as one of the speakers. And so they came from small business, big business, academics, and policy, basically like today, but it was over, a month long. And I have all those videos. I just got to figure out where to put them. But yeah, so that'll probably be a lot of what I do in summer.
You need to create a icon on your website. There's an icon which is like a podcast where people could go into your inventories of videos that they at any point that they could click on it and get inspired.
Yeah. Yeah, I could. Well, anyway, this is going to be going up on the School of Business YouTube channel. So maybe you can incorporate the other videos there. But I'd like to move on to, and we've kind of already touched on it a little bit, but I'd like to move on to policy perspective of how we can help foster the growth of women of color entrepreneurs.
Well, I'll take the easy one. Is what Dorothea said. Is I was sort of surprised because that's not we've been able to figure out how to come up with a badging, a certification of being women-owned, even if you're a nonprofit. Now, everyone here is all the rage is the B Corp that Dean Lau suggested, is figuring out is getting those certifications, but where we've fallen short here, and at least in Idaho, is that we have a totally disastrous setup of set-asides that, most states and cities have at least some sort of small business set-aside, a woman-owned set-aside, a veteran-owned set-aside, that they're not big, but they typically paid off, and it's not, and it's not charity. Our large federal research lab had the mandate to expand their pool of contractors, of people, vendors and suppliers, and they more than doubled the number of vendors they had by explicitly reaching out to women, particularly to women, minorities, and rural. What happened was, by expanding that pool, quality went up, costs went down, and the lab director got a big national award. So they're continuing to do that. But this is something in most states have some sort of set-aside program, but have someone take a long look at it. David, maybe have a team of students look at it. Poor David, he should not have invited me. But this is the kind of thing, is making sure that, if there's a 5% set aside for small business and it's at 3% or something, that's something that's easily fixed, because it's not like there aren't quality vendors in every corner of your state. Regardless, it's not just the usual suspects. So I would take that and thank Dorothea for giving me a chance to give an easy answer. But that is such a problem that, like, we're discriminating against nonprofits, which is just nuts.
Yep.
Well, I think that ties in with a question that somebody posted in chat here, which is how do we engage municipalities to fund these kinds of initiatives?
I'll add that I think the saying goes that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So I think the more noise that we get from the community to advocate for that type of funding, the more that they'll be willing to listen. But it takes the outside, the community, to to make those types of recommendations.
But I think the timing is ripe. Diversity is real. Big corporations right now, I mean, I'll take BlackRock as an example. They make a goal that 30% of their employee are going to be women. And they push really, really hard now of diversities. Some boards now, ever since Black Lives Matter and this diversity has become such an issue, a lot of corporation boards are looking for women of color, especially African-American women, to join boards because it's reflecting the constituents. I mean, like if I'm on a retail board and oh my gosh, you know, and you walk into a room and all the people who sit at the table are a man and you're selling shoes to women. I mean, you go try to put on high heel and tell me how you sell a pair of shoes to women, right? So I think getting municipality to give to set aside money, it's hard. I mean, I know, you know, I only moved into Charleston in a very short time, but it's really hard. I hear what Norris talk about set aside. When I was in defense business, I went after the set aside. I went after the mentor protege program. I get certified with SBA. I did everything that I can to get funding, to you know, all the noise you make, it really have to get people to pass the bills. I sometimes found it's easier to get foundation money. And the cheapest way for me, honestly, when I started my business was a bank loan. Is to borrow money from the bank. That was the cheapest way for me to start a business back then. I don't know if it's the same here. This time we have a banker on the panel. But you know, to get municipality to set aside money, I don't even know how much money they set aside for women, not to mention of women of color. It's hard.
Well, I would suggest for municipalities or cities is partnerships. And I think Monique hit on that early in the conversation, is that community-based organizations, nonprofits, we're already out there doing the work and we have the feet on the ground, the boots on the ground, we're the frontline workers. I mean, we already understood that minority-owned businesses were lacking in education, access to technology, all kinds of resources. That's why the Opportunity Center is being built. So we were already on the front lines, already ahead of this so-called crisis, because we understood the need as service providers in the community that we live in. And so collaboration, I think, is very, very key to hitting some of these. It's just us coming together with the same goal and end in mind, which is to help the minority small business owner at this time. So I think collaboration is huge to some of our answers or issues, solutions.
I think maybe to build on that and what Norris had mentioned earlier about the SBA programs where the teams of students would you know work for $250 to create a marketing plan or something for a small business, but turn that focus instead of business focused on the nonprofits, perhaps.
Yeah, because the SBA doesn't pay people anymore to do that. And what was weird is when they stopped funding it, participation went up because you also took away the paperwork. But I was at Ohio State, we had way too many they gave us carte blanche to do all sorts of stuff. We worked for the economic development projects. And I've done this my whole career, working with nonprofits, pretty much whatever came through. One thing that someone was talking about is King Street a main drag in your downtown? Yeah. Is that one of the things that actually my students came up with at Ohio State was something they called dense pack, is that they would do 8 projects, but they do 7 different businesses all in the same neighborhood, in the same block. Because if you help one business, the others bitch. So another. And the 8th team would work with the downtown merchants or the local chamber. So if you've got a group of businesses, some that are well established in the King Street area, but you've also some that are just getting started. And there's some, you've got an opportunity to really be imaginative with the students. And while the SBA doesn't pay for it, or there is still an SBI Directors Association, 20 years later. And there is EDA money to support that kind of thing. I'm trying to move the work from you to your students, but the opportunities to make a difference here are just staggering. And I will help any way I can.
Well, Kaufman Foundation have a lot of money. You could give us some money.
Well, Kaufman has, well, I think Kaufman didn't invest in the right things when they weren't heavily invested in stock or Seattle real estate, but they are mercurial in terms of their funding. But they keep having initiatives that there are, in fact, probably the next big one will be about collaborative efforts to promote inclusion. I have no idea when that's going to come out, but when they make an RFP, you call her and I can see what my spies can find out.
I know that the Gay Foundation have money set aside for this.
There's a lot of money, a lot of places they just don't do a good job of advertising it, and the people who are getting it don't advertise they are getting it. But I found that the people at EDA have been very helpful in terms of telling us, even when they're telling us, well, we don't have money for that, they're pretty good at telling you where to look. There are a lot of local foundations that are that I'm always shocked that even here in Idaho, everybody seems to be broke, but the foundation seems to still have some money. You just have to make the right pitch.
There is so I'm curious, in South Carolina, do we have any foundation here, big foundation here that could actually fund, women of colors and of entrepreneurship, or even the program that you're working on, David?
I would have to look. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, everything is local. I mean, if we could find local foundation, I mean, shame on the municipality if foundation is funding you and funding other women, funding us.
And when one person funds you, others will step up. I was going to say that Dabo Swinney has a whole bunch of money. You could probably hit him up for some. Was it $7 million a year? I'm an Ohio State guy, so of course I got a lot of crypto. But
hey,
my bias is
it's on the table. It's on the table. So if Dabo can provide some funding, it's worth a ask.
There are high net worth individuals who are looking, this, and certainly the PR advantage, for someone like that would be, you could really make a good case for that.
Oh, my colleague Kelly Shaver just mentioned that Blackbound has a foundation, and they're right here.
Right.
Well, you know what, foundations or a municipality, the important thing is to ask. What are you asking, and how do you ask? Because I know when you ask foundation for money, there's a certain dollar amount that you don't have to have multiple signatures, but you do have to know how to ask.
The key word was believe that they have a foundation. That needs to be checked.
Okay, any more last ideas, comments, suggestions? Just got a couple minutes left before we announce the pitch winner.
I was checking the chat box for questions, Dr. Hanson. There's a few that we haven't touched on here. So it looks like, why do companies not want to advertise that they are receiving funds? I guess that's speaking to Dr. Lau, your mentioning of these organizations having the funding and maybe not being as transparent. Janine, if you want to provide some further clarity on that one.
I just like looked up my little lotion bottle, and you know how like they have like cruelty free, and just it's something that you're more of something that you're proud of, I guess. You know, it's like if you're receiving these funds, it's because a company, you know, the company believes in you, or you're doing something that's benefiting the community. So it's like, is there some way to have the funds as more of a, look, this is what we support and this is how we're helping the community, not necessarily like not being transparent?
Are you talking about company or the recipients or the giver?
The recipients.
Well, it's interesting because you know what, I'm thinking from a giver standpoint, like people who have foundation give out money and funding. There's a big push of it because there's such thing called ESG, which is the economic, social, and governance that everybody is moving into right now. Is doing good for the community and community inclusivities. So they would use every single opportunity to put on their website how much money they give out, who they give it to. Now, as a receiver of the people, there are multiple reasons of not promoting it. One, they're not allowed. Maybe the givers say don't disclose. Number one. Number two, it costs money to advertise, and you know, and they're also afraid that maybe it's a one-time only. If it's not sustainable, you can say where you got your money from.
Thank you.
That's the only one I see.
By the way, David Wyman sent it to me, but yes, the All In Foundation by one Mr. Daboswini is very active in the community. So if he likes the city of Charleston at all, you know, that's an opening. And seeing Kelly's face, I still remember years ago when Kelly was doing the fundraising for the entrepreneurship division of the Academy of Management, and he got in trouble because he raised too much money. And they said, well, maybe we should ask entrepreneurship guys, ask Kelly, how do you raise money? And Kelly just said one word. He looked, ask. That the number one reason every country on earth that somebody doesn't get a grant is they didn't ask. That it as Mama sort of said, never hurts to ask as long as you ask nicely, ask smartly. That you know, again, and this sorry David, but this is something else that you could engage students in, because one of the things you want to avoid doing is sending grant money, any kind of donations into the university bureaucracy. You will never see it again.
Right.
But there's so much that my tagline forever has been students are our secret weapon, that students can do so much because no matter how they act, they care, and they are smart, and they like to get stuff done. And you know, that the degree that you can marshal that. And if any of you entrepreneurs out there in the community want to provide an apprenticeship, an internship for one of David's students, I'm sure he could arrange that.
Well, as speaking of students, we are at the 7:15 point, and so we promised to announce the winner of our gender equality pitch competition. I'll say that there was a very clear winner, getting 44% of the vote, and that winner is Community Helper. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was such an awesome opportunity, and we're just like so excited. We loved all the other ideas. It'd be really cool if we could all get together in the future sometime and keep chatting about these issues.
Sorry, I'm at a family dinner right now, but I'm very thankful for this opportunity, and I had a great time. And Sarah and I had such a fun time brainstorming back and forth, and we're very thankful for this opportunity.
Well, congratulations. I guess you'll get with Dr. Wyman about that later, about getting the money. For now, what I'd also like to do is say that as a gift to all of our panelists today, we are providing signed copies of the Holy Spirit's book, which you can't really see on the way I have the camera, but the book from the Cocktail Bandits. So those of you on the panel today, just get in touch with me about how we can get the book to you. So I want to first thank everyone for this. It's been a great event. There's lots of ideas. There's still lots of conversation to have. And so while officially we are basically done, I'm going to keep this open and let discussion go on for as long as anybody else wants to stay here. I have no reason to shut this off. So everybody's welcome to stay. Everybody's welcome to open up and comment, ask questions. We had, excuse me, we had a good question just a moment ago about what is the School of Business doing to engage more with women of color students? And that is a really good question.
Well, you're ahead of a lot of schools just by doing this. But if you wait till next November, I will be very cross. You should do this. You should do this, you know, monthly or every other month if you can.
Yeah.
Just keeping the conversation going. How much does it cost to run the Zoom for an hour?
Zero.
Yeah, zero. Yeah. Zero marginal costs are pretty powerful. And you know, anything. I'm honored that you involved me. I was a little apprehensive that, and not just because the Ohio State thing, but I learned a lot. I've got half a page and I got like a lot of notes here, and anything I can do to be helpful in the future, David, let me know.
Thank you.
And I didn't even mention that some of this stuff could end up being publishable, but that's
yes.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to get Kelly. Put Kelly to work on that.
There's an evil word.
There's an evil word.
See, I figure that's my job, and the rest of this stuff is David's job.
Okay, well, that's okay. We diversify the workload.
Yes.
There we go.
But anyway, thank you, all of you, and thank you for being honest. And I didn't see anybody checking their phone in the view. So
I'd like to add my congratulations and thanks to all of the panel members and also to the students who presented. This has been great. Thank you very much. And Dave, terrific job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Except for the hat, maybe, but.
Well, with 11 months of cutting my own hair, yeah, I stick with a hat. So I guess I would like to try to answer that question about what the school is doing to engage more with women of color. And obviously this is one of the things. I have been pushing our department, at least, which is the biggest department in school, management marketing, to just at least bring in more representation into the class. So, you know, swapping out one example or one case or one speaker that is, you know, a person of color, a woman of color, a woman in general, just to be cognizant of, you know, what we're displaying, right? So what we're representing. If all we're showing, for bankers is white men, then that's the perception of what a banker is. So we need more of those built into the class. What else we could do? I don't know. This is one reason why I wanted to bring Tuzaria. I don't know if she's still here, but yeah, she is. Like what her thoughts might be, having, just gone through all these courses. In fact, let me back up a little bit. The whole reason this project all came about was because I had Tuzaria and blanking on the other student.
Kiani.
Yes. Oh no, I mean before that, Brittany. So
Brittany,
it was yes. You and Brittany took my business modeling class. Had a great concept, and back before COVID, I would take the class out for pizza after at the end of the semester, and at the end, I asked both of you, why don't we get more women of color in our entrepreneurship classes? So we talked a little bit about that, and I just got more and more interested in this idea of how can we attract more women and women of color? Because one of the interesting things in the business school is that while with the college is like 67% female, business classes tend to be like 75%, or at least in entrepreneurship, male, which means that we're not doing a very good job of communicating that entrepreneurship is a path, a possibility for women, and especially women of color. So that you can thank Tuzaria here to some extent for this, my wanting to do this. This really just kind of kicked off this whole idea and passion to do something. But I'd love to hear more what you think we could do more.
I didn't want to bother you earlier.
What I would like to see is more individuals who look similar to me teach, business courses, at the College of Charleston. I feel like it'll give that that student of color who's majoring in business, it would give them that jump to want to be more interested into like events like these, or opportunities that are given like from all the other professors, because that's what me personally, I don't see in the School of Business.
And that unfortunately is a really hard problem to solve. One, because we haven't been able to hire for quite a while now, and who knows when we'll be able to hire somebody again. And two is that people of color in particular are lacking in PhD programs. So there is actually a thing called the PhD project. And our former colleague, Dr. Lakita Blockson, she participated in that when she was going through her PhD, and she continues to support that. And the idea is to encourage more people of color to pursue a PhD. So I would then sort of turn that around and say, consider that someday, getting a PhD, coming back and teaching. But yeah, finding ways to hire, that's the bigger challenge.
Well, David, is it, in this wonderful world of Zoom, there are role models out there that you can reach out to. I had been thinking before about, ecosystem builders around the country, really around the world, who are, who could be brought in, that could speak to this. There, you could talk to, Jeff up at Rutgers. There are some who are very articulate. They would be very eager to, I think, very willing to be helpful.
Right.
And whatever the specialty they are. And if you can't find them, I can certainly help you. There are some, staggering talents. I mean, that's actually, I wonder if that's not the future of business schools. It'll all be curating rock star professors from around the world. Like, why ask me about creativity when I can call up Jeff Stamp or Tina Seelig and have them present, present. But so the schools get ahead of the curve on that. I mean, here's an opportunity. You could have, basically an all guest star class, and you could cover whatever, find out from your students who they want to see, what kinds of people. And I think it can be really a lot of fun.
Add on to what Norris was explaining. I actually took a class with Dr. Wyman and Glenn Stockman, and we sit around in this office setting class, and we meet a lot of entrepreneurs from all the walks of life and all the aspects. I feel as though you can take that and implement it into a course with minority women of color entrepreneurs.
And since they're both here, I think, well, I see Kelly, but also Dr. Wyman, who teach our intro, or currently teaching our intro to entrepreneurship class, which features a lot of speakers. How many women of color entrepreneur speakers have you been able to bring in?
I'd like to answer the question of how many I'm going to have next semester when I'm really responsible for it myself.
Yeah, there
and
you
the
go.
answer is more.
Good answer.
Good answer.
I think that's a great answer, and I would totally agree with Kelly. And in fact, we have a very important competition in 2 weeks' time, and I would love to have one of the women of color be a judge on that. It's called Impact X. So if one of those would like to send me a private note and say you're interested, we typically tried for gender equality. So we're looking for 1 or 2 more women judges. So if any of you are interested, just send me a private note now and I will contact you afterwards. I would also like to say, I think this was really a tremendous forum, and I learned a lot, and I appreciate a lot of the issues that you've all brought up, because I do think they are issues. And I don't know that we have easy solutions to these, but I do think these are very, very important issues. So, and I do actually love Tazaria's idea that we could actually do a 1-credit class. I think that's an awesome idea, where we could actually sit around and really do the same thing that Kelly is actually teaching this class this semester with Glenn Starkman. So, when we get great ideas, the one thing we do at College of Charleston is act on them. And I think that's really a credit to my partners here, Kelly and Dave. So congratulations.
How many students show up are typically in this intro class?
The intro class, for example, we bring in for the intro class in Entrepreneurship 200 this semester, we have on average, we have 3 classes where they're all taught individually. And then we bring them together on a Thursday session, and we have this semester 95 students where they listen to a great entrepreneur and we brought in just amazing entrepreneurs the whole time. And we do have a number of women entrepreneurs. We try to get really a lot of women entrepreneurs, have a lot of gender diversity. But one of the great things about this forum is I honestly don't know as many women of color entrepreneurs as I would like. So that's where it would be really great to interact with many of these.
There are schools, David, that have, well, David, that they have the students go out and find their model entrepreneur, who's someone, and it is amazing that people, they're probably not going to get Richard Branson, but that there's somebody you would, like for instance, Tesorio admires in Charleston, or well, anywhere, given our world, is that they try to develop a one-on-one relationship. It doesn't have to be a lot of hours of contact, but just being able to have a conversation with this, super mentor, and then they bring back and share that experience with the class, and everybody benefits. I don't know.
We have done that in other classes where we actually in a entrepreneurial leadership class, where we do have a leadership choice project where people do it. For example, in San Diego, we had all our students. They were very keen on baseball. They actually got to interview Tommy Lasorda in the Dodgers bug out. So I think that's a great idea, and we should incorporate that more often. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and in fact, one of our former students works for Richard Branson.
That's true too.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, on an island.
Yes, on Necker Island.
Yeah.
I do want to say that one of the things that we do as a lender is we make or form relationships with a lot of organizations in South Carolina, such as the Small Business Development Center. There's different ones across, different locations across the state. And we utilize them to, find different entrepreneurs that need financing. A lot of times they send people to us. And I think that would be a good way for College of Charleston, or good relationships for them to form, where you can connect with entrepreneurs that could come in and speak to students. And like you said, it's good to see, other women of color, be able to come into the classroom and talk to the students. For instance, at Benedict, they now have the Women's Business Center. And that just opened, I think, last month. And I think that would be a good resource to actually find different entrepreneurs that could come in and speak with the students. SBDC, Women's Business Center, and the HBCUs as well.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a network that I've built up. I realized a couple of years ago that the judges in my pitch competition were all middle-aged white men. And, so when there was teams, all women students pitching something that was targeted at women, they kind of had a hard time understanding. And that's when I realized, oh, I need to, so I've expanded. In fact, that's where much of last year's panel came from. Our people that I've used as judges in my pitch competition in my regular entrepreneurship class. But definitely we can, I've met a lot of new people here tonight through this event. So it's great to keep, expanding on that network. And, definitely, well, hiring somebody is a challenge. Bringing somebody into a classroom is definitely very doable. And yeah, the college right now is working, or some faculty are working on a race equity and inclusion requirement. And so, well, that's got a ways to go, but that should help a little bit, depending on how that works out.
Abdu, how good are you at keeping in touch with your alumni? That alumni can be a tremendous source of referrals. I mean, probably won't get Mr. Branson, Sir Richard Branson, but universities are finding out, and partly because of the pandemic, they're actually trying to get a hold of their old alumni and getting feedback on, what did you learn at school, in our school, what it was worked best, what's not. And it's a really easy opportunity to say, who do you know who might be a good guest speaker or a mentor for students? And, it may have, I assume that 20 years ago, College of Charleston was probably less diverse than it is now. But still, you're out in the real world. That who knows where these folks have gone. But I would, it's certainly a suggestion, even before you ask them for money, that asking for their advice is going to be very powerful. That again, there's several universities I know in Europe, UK and Europe, that they've redesigned their programs based on the feedback they got from the entrepreneurs, which did lead to donations, but it also led to guest speakers. Nothing like finding out one of your alumni is now worth 300 million pounds. He's an alum of ours. Well, he flunked out, but for good reason, apparently.
Yeah.
But is it, and again, and I don't want to belabor it too much, but the students are a great conduit. There's somebody, like I can look, Monique is thinking right now who she'd like to lure into this process. And Monique, since you're David's boss on this project, Monique, who's your dream person to bring in?
A dream person to come in.
I mean, you already have Kelly, so, but you're gonna have, it's gonna be hard to top that, but.
Right. There's a couple. So yeah, I can probably ramble all night about some really incredible women. I think of one. I think of Mahesha Dellinger, who does a lot of work in the landscape of helping failing Black businesses, and she had a show on OWN Network, and she was one of the first Black entrepreneurs to get into Target with her hairline. So she's done a lot of things, and she has a lot of influence in terms of saving or rescuing businesses. So she is one that definitely has always been on the top of my list, and she provides a lot of value online through her social media also. So I think.
So do you stalk her on Twitter, or do you have any connections to her?
I do. We have actually, I've been in communications with her, and I expressed the need for her type of work here in Charleston, and she was very open to it. I just couldn't afford to get her here. So it's worth maybe circling back to have a conversation with her, especially right now in the timing being so great during the pandemic, and us also being able to do this virtually, whereas before we were planning a physical visit. So, transportation and travel was costly at that time. So yeah.
And like channel my inner Kelly, go ask. But I love the idea of the rescue, the business rescue. Mm-hmm. I watched it. What's that one? Bar rescue. And I'm going, this is a train wreck. But God, there's really an art form to it, because most of the people are doing the same damn stupid things that they should, that the bankers like Ms. Bellamy would be going, oh my God, what are they doing? Do they not know how to do cash flow projections? That is a lot of ASA. It's not, there wouldn't be 30% of Americans self-employed if this was that hard. But the common sense is not common. And maybe there's a hook there that you guys can develop something that maybe, but reaching out. Audrey, who would be your dream person to bring in?
Oh, living or dead?
I have lost my mystical powers, so better be alive.
Well, I mean, when you think about someone who's a motivator, who can inspire, who can bring the crowd, you got to think Madam Oprah. I mean, there is there.
If you ask really nicely, she'll fit in your schedule in at least 3 years.
And I'm sure if we ask.
But her people, you'll probably get her people, but her people probably have a list of people that they say, well, we can't make promises for Ms. Winfrey, but have you thought about, and they may even know someone in Carolina. Well, I think they're in Birmingham right now. It originated in Cleveland, it's MIXTROZ. It's this marvelous app that it's a mother-daughter. Mm-hmm. They do great theater. I mean, mama rules. But they've been incredibly successful. They have raised a crap ton of money. That they've done the right things the right way, and you can look up their Google their videos, but they are astounding. The daughter got her start. Her first job was being personal assistant to LeBron James. So you got someone who talks smack to LeBron as part of the and mama who talks smack to her. It's that as you poke around, then the more you find these stories, and I'm sure that those guys could put you on to some other people, you know, just have just that chain of referrals. But Audrey, call Oprah. Promise me you're going to call Oprah, or at least give it a shot.
Why not?
Because you must know someone who could get you close. Monique, you're going to call the business rescue person? Promise? Promise?
Yes, yes.
I want to see the hand. I want to see the hand. I know I'm a Yankee, but
I think we know some people who might know some people, Monique.
Right.
Yeah.
So
if you've
that's
noticed on
actually-
LinkedIn, we're all connected to everybody pretty close. And Ms. Bellamy, I know she's got a banker or somebody that would come and speak the truth to the kids.
I would love to come. I mean, we could always come and talk about finance all day. But, you know, we do have entrepreneurs that I could probably, you know, pull up that would probably like to come and talk as well.
Yeah, and you could call their loan if they don't. Anyway, I have to go to my next Zoom call, but I am so honored and so tickled. It's great to see Kelly's shining face. And I made him laugh, so I feel twice now. And got to make fun of David's hat, and I'm really glad I didn't wear a hat today. But it's crazy to say this in the day of the pandemic, but in a lot of ways, the doors are more open than ever. That, you know, there's somebody who wants to talk to Dave about social entrepreneurship in Kazakhstan. You just got to figure out the time zones.
Yep.
And happy Women's Entrepreneur Day.
Yes.
And if you ever run into Wendy Diamond, who runs it, you know, you'd better like dogs. Anyway, so take care. And again, I'm honored. This is best Global Entrepreneurship Week ever.
Thanks, Doris. Good to see you.
Thank you. I want to put on the spot right now my wife, who is here, just to tell us just what her thoughts were on this whole event. If she's there. Yes.
She's not there, Dave.
Nope, she is.
She's not there.
So she's unmuted.
Oh.
Well, maybe she doesn't have a mic set up. She's downstairs. I'm upstairs in my office. All right, we'll take her off the hook then. Yeah, this has been great. I'm gonna have to rewatch this. And because I was too busy to take too many notes, paying too much attention, but there was a lot going on here. This will be posted up on YouTube, so anybody can watch it. I was going to say earlier that the connecting to just somebody. I remember early on when I started here at the college, Lakita had an assignment where she gave them a target person to meet and to go through LinkedIn making connections until they could connect with him. So that might be, something that we can do in class or just, if there's somebody that you really want to bring in, so you can make that ask. Any other comments, questions, suggestions, ideas, thoughts, critiques?
No, but maybe Dr. Hanson, we can pull together a feedback survey to send out so that we can gauge interest and also any opportunities for what's to come. And that would be a good way to capture the feedback that we didn't get tonight.
Yeah, so somebody had mentioned creating like an email list. And so I have all the registration emails. So we can do that.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Thank you all.
For having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. This has been great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good night. Dr. Hanson, I'll be in touch with you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Night,
Take care.
everyone.
Night.
Good night, everyone. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, and let's talk about the idea about publication.
All right, fair enough.
Because obviously, I need more publications. I'm too busy thinking about doing practical things to think about the research aspect.
Well, it is a sad commentary on academia that we really have to do both.
Mm-hmm.
You're so much better at this. It's great. Again, thanks for doing it.
Yeah, I'm happy to. And I think, I'm definitely going to build something from this for spring semester and into summer. So this isn't the end for sure.
Good.
Which is why it's second annual forum, but I had a vision at one point of doing like a monthly series of some kind. So somebody brought that up, and maybe that's what we'll do. But maybe I'll put students in charge of that. Taking the idea from Martin Atkins, who is a musician, going way back to early or late 70s. Teaches up at he was a keynote speaker at USASP that you didn't go to. There was one in New Orleans, I think. And anyway, he teaches in the music department in a university in Illinois, and I can't remember what it is. But he teaches like an entrepreneurship class, teaching people how to work in the music business. So they do projects like put on a show, right?
Yeah.
Work the stage, sell the tickets, and all
Yeah.
that, right? And so I could certainly see, having students do, like in teams organizing, one little Zoom event.
Easily.
Project, yeah.
In fact, one of the 445 classes years ago had a rock concert.
Oh, wow.
They had a rock concert. We don't want to know how they did it, but they had kegs and they had shrimp and they hired a band.
Wow.
And they actually made enough money. They made $3,000.
Wow.
Over expenses and put that into the class.
Cool.
So it does work.
Yeah. All right. So unless anybody's got anything else to add, I'll go ahead and end this so we can get the recording.
Alrighty.
Stop, and I'll send you the transcript.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
bud.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So again, thank you all for coming, and hope to meet those of you who I haven't met in the future.